There's a silence that speaks louder than 1,000 voices. A presence that outwits the cleverest lies without needing a single sentence. If you have ever felt misunderstood, underestimated, or dismissed in a room full of noise, then this message is for you. Because what I'm about to show you is not how to talk your way to power. It's how to never need to. I am Psyvoria, and I have walked among kings, liars, and philosophers. The wisest I met were not the loudest, but the ones who made silence feel like truth. Before we begin, if you find meaning in this moment, I ask one thing. Subscribe to Psyvoria. It helps our voice reach others who walk this quiet path too. Let's begin. When you walk into a room and say nothing, yet everyone turns to look at you, that's not magic, that's mastery. The first law of outsmarting anyone without uttering a word is learning how to wield silence like a weapon. Most people underestimate how loud silence can be. In a world drowning in noise, the quietest person often holds the most power. You do not need to announce your presence to be noticed. Let your energy do the talking. Let your eyes observe more than your mouth explains. People reveal everything if you simply give them the space to speak first. And when they do, they show their weaknesses, their vanities, their intentions. All because you chose to say nothing. Silence makes others uncomfortable because it forces them to fill the void. It pressures them into exposing more than they planned. And while they unravel, you stay still, unshaken, unreadable. That unreadability becomes your armor. When they cannot figure you out, they cannot control you. You start to become something that doesn't fit into their categories, something their mind cannot easily pin down. And that confuses them. You now hold the advantage, all because you said nothing. But this kind of silence is not passive. It is active awareness. You're listening to everything, watching everyone, and building a map of their psychology in real time. This is how Nietzsche understood human interaction, not as a battle of words, but a subtle war of presence. True power is not in volume, it is in restraint. You do not seek to win arguments. You do not seek validation. You simply observe, and through that stillness, people begin to adjust themselves around you. They try to decode you, appeal to you, understand you. And in that very attempt, they reveal their cards. All because you refuse to play loud. This is how you win. Quietly, intelligently, relentlessly. The second law of outsmarting without speaking is the art of controlled facial expression. Most people wear their emotions on their face like a badge. Every smile, every twitch, every flinch is a broadcast to the world. But when you master the neutrality of your expression, you turn your face into a wall, a mask, a mirror. And that silence on your face speaks louder than rage, joy, or fear ever could. When someone insults you and your expression doesn't shift, it tells them their words mean nothing to you. When someone tries to provoke you and your eyes remain still, they know you cannot be moved like the others. You become untouchable, not because you fight back, but because you don't react. Reaction is the surrender of power. Every time you show that you are triggered, you give the other person your emotional blueprint. And once they know how to trigger you, they own you. But when your face gives away nothing, you confuse them. They start projecting their fears onto you. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you're hiding. That mystery creates a psychological imbalance. It forces the other person into a guessing game they cannot win. Nietzsche believed in the power of concealment, not as deception, but as discipline. You don't hide because you're afraid. You hide because you are calculated. You are focused. You are not a book to be read in one sitting. You are a sealed manuscript written in code, and only those who earn your trust may read a page. Everyone else is left in the silence of your still gaze. That is where your advantage grows, because in their obsession with understanding you, they lose sight of themselves. You outsmart them not by overpowering them, but by outweighting them. You are the storm behind the still sky, the predator behind the patient stare. You let them talk, react, flail. You remain still. You remain unreadable. You remain in control. The third law is the discipline of observation. When you remain silent, your senses sharpen. You begin to notice things others miss. The way someone's eyes flicker when they lie, the tremble in their voice when they're unsure, the tension in their jaw when they're trying to hide anger. While everyone else speaks just to fill the void, you study the room like a strategist, dissecting every micro-expression, every hesitation, every contradiction. And in that silence, you gather more information than 1,000 conversations could ever give you. Nietzsche believed that true strength lies in awareness, not noise. You don't need to speak because you already understand more than they do. You don't reveal your position because you've already mapped theirs. While they rush to be seen and heard, you sit quietly, watching, noticing who dominates, who defers, who performs. And behind every word spoken by others, you see the intention, the fear, the insecurity. The person who watches in silence holds the advantage of time. While others expose their hand, you wait. And in that waiting, power accumulates. You're not passive. You're calculating. You're not distant. You're precise. In a world addicted to speed, your stillness becomes unsettling. Your refusal to engage on their level forces them to elevate to yours or walk away confused. Either way, you win. Because you never entered the fight, yet you walked away with a prize they didn't even know was at stake. Every gesture they make becomes a clue. Every interaction becomes a lesson. And the less you speak, the more they show. This is how you outsmart anyone. Not by being louder, but by knowing more. And knowing more comes from seeing more. And seeing more only happens when you train yourself to remain still, to remain silent, and to never stop observing. The fourth law is energy restraint. The smartest man in the room is not the one who reacts to everything. He is the one who knows what deserves his energy and what doesn't. Most people are slaves to provocation. A minor insult, they flare up. A disagreement, they argue. A loss, they panic. But the man who has mastered silence, who has studied himself like a warrior polishes his sword, he holds back. Not because he is weak, but because he is calculating. Nietzsche believed that to react instantly is to surrender control. And so you choose instead to become unbothered. You become the eye of the storm. Let chaos swirl around you. Let noise rise and fall. You remain untouched, unmoved. You conserve your inner force like a predator in the tall grass. Because not every battle is worth your presence. Not every comment deserves your voice. You understand that silence is not absence. It is strategy. It is refusal. It is dominance by subtraction. The less you give them, the more confused they become. Why didn't you react? Why didn't you defend yourself? Why didn't you play the game? Because you're not here to prove anything. You're not here to validate your worth through argument. You're here to win quietly. And silence wins more wars than shouting ever could. People expect conflict. They prepare for noise. But when you offer nothing but stillness, they lose their script. They reveal their insecurities. They project their intentions. And all the while, you remain centered, calm, ready, not cold but detached, not passive but unshakable. And when the time comes, when it truly matters, you speak with clarity. One sentence, perfectly timed, can cut deeper than 100 scream defenses. That's how power works. It is built in silence and released with precision. You will never outsmart someone if you let them see your emotions before you see their intentions. The moment you react instantly, you've already given away control. That silence you maintain, that delay before you speak, it isn't hesitation. It is your power incubating. You must train yourself to become the one who notices first and speaks last. You watch their tone, their stance, the twitch of their eyes, the speed of their breath. That's how you gather more than they realize they're giving. And while they grow impatient, trying to draw a reaction out of you, you are already calculating. Most people lose the game of intellect because they talk too soon and listen too little. The smart ones wait, even when their ego screams for release, because they understand that patience is a weapon. Let the other person build their argument, their assumptions, their illusions. Let them think they have the upper hand. And when the time is right, you speak with precision, not to impress, not to argue, but to end the conversation with a truth so sharp it leaves no room for retaliation. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said, "The best warriors do not draw their swords first." You only reveal your thoughts when silence has already crushed theirs. Keep your mouth closed until you've seen every card on their table. The one who observes first always wins. Most people are ruled by the desperate need to be understood. They explain, they justify, they beg to be seen in the right light. But when you truly outsmart someone, you stop needing that validation. You let them misunderstand you. You let them assume, project, accuse. And you do not flinch, because the moment you stop defending your name, your choices, your silence, you turn their ego against them. They will try harder and harder to get a reaction out of you, to break the mystery, to get under your skin. But when you show no need to respond, when your face remains unreadable and your posture unshaken, their own mind becomes their enemy. You become a mirror. Everything they try to throw at you returns to them. And the more noise they make, the more you reveal who they are without saying a single word. That is the ultimate form of power, when your silence becomes a challenge, when your presence forces them to confront their own instability. Nietzsche believed that the superior mind doesn't seek to dominate through force, but through absence. You don't need to win the argument. You don't even need to join the fight. You win by watching them fall apart in front of your stillness. That is how you outsmart anyone. Not through louder words or sharper insults, but by staying rooted in yourself while their ego shatters, trying to pull you out. Remain unmoved. Remain unreadable. Remain above. Before we end, remember this. The world will always be filled with noise, but the rare few who can walk through it in silence, with clarity and intention, will always remain 10 steps ahead. Outthinking others doesn't require words. It requires stillness. It requires restraint. And above all, it requires self-control. If this voice spoke to something deep inside you, subscribe to Psyvoria. Help us grow this space for minds that crave depth over noise. And never forget, the quietest one in the room often sees the most.